tip, if you're a creative, always remember to hit the record button when making videos. Now, onto the subject of this video, really breaking through the creative rut, experiencing that excitement as a creative and how to recapture that. Coming up.
Brian G. Johnson.
Brian G here, and to grow on YouTube, stake your claim and amplify your message. Do that by subscribing, and to really jumpstart your channel, check out my free 40-minute YouTube Masterclass, link in the description. See, as a creative person, sometimes we're on a torrid pace. We feel creative, our output is high, we enjoy the process, that shines through in our work, and we achieve a level of success that's not just monetary, but really fills us as human beings. And sadly, sometimes that's not the case. We feel overwhelmed, burnt out, tired, and we let things stop us, and we don't even know how to overcome that process or what the process is in order to overcome. Now, what I want to do is share my experience, because as someone that's written 2 books, created courses, been a professional chef for 18 years, I've been a creative my entire life. Now, sometimes there are things that we can do, like actual physical things. Like for me, it was a pocket camera that really opened my world up when it comes to creating videos, being more creative, enjoying the process, and exploring who I am as a creative. You see, this is the Sony a6400, and I've had a lot of cameras. I'll buy a lot more cameras in the future. I'm really serious about creating videos, and that means when I got started, I had a lot to learn, and it was extremely overwhelming, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I still do, but today I'm really okay with that. In fact, my last bunch of videos have had a huge amount of mistakes, but what I can tell you is I'm learning at a torrid pace, and the creator I'm going to be in the future is far better than the creator I am today. And furthermore, really how I mastered and learned camera settings was just to do a lot of experimentation and measure my results. Set up the camera, set the ISO, the f-stop, shutter speed, frames per second, the lighting, measure the lighting, do another test, and I would do this over and over again until I got something like this. Now, literally, I just made a video on this setup, the new angle, the same lights, just different, organized differently and whatnot. And here's what I found happened to me, and it might be happening to you. I was so worried about creating something awesome that I was unwilling to break free of that style of video. I never wanted to move my camera or the lights. I never wanted to change the camera settings. I was afraid to pick up this dang camera because I was still learning and really dialing in all the exposure settings and the focus, and it's a lot. But here's what I discovered. You see, I got set up with this little camera, and then it was no longer my main setup, and I went outside and I just kind of created videos. I didn't worry about like professional auto or manual camera settings. I used auto exposure, I used auto focused, and they looked great. But I did have a good amount of experience with that kind of thing, with manual exposure settings. So what do you think I did? I started fiddling around, and I didn't care as much because I didn't have as much on the line. I was willing to put myself out there. I was willing to make a mistake. I was willing to just wing it and be okay if things weren't perfect. Here's what I want you to think about. When we talk about being creative, one of the words associated with that is art. Perfectionism and art are not in alignment. We don't value perfection, we value artistic expression. So for me, getting a point and shoot camera, reevaluating how I make videos, being willing to do things I hadn't done before, that was freeing, exciting, and fun. So one of the things you might want to consider is mixing things up and trying something new. Now here's the caveat. You have to expect that along the way, you may run into a rough patch. It might be hard. But, you know, make it as simple as possible and strive to enjoy the journey. That's one of the things that's really helped me as a creative, learning to enjoy the journey and not being so attached to the result. So on YouTube, it's like views. Now, another thing that can often block the creative process is people putting little thoughts and ideas in our head that we're not good enough or what we're doing is wrong. And they have such an easy time criticizing, and yet they very rarely create. The first thing I want to share is, before you let those individuals tell you what you should be doing, understand they have no right to do that. Now, obviously, you do have to think about the audience feedback you get, but if most of it's really positive and you've got a few haters, then that's exactly what that is oftentimes. And I mentioned critic and creator. Oftentimes I go visit these people that leave these silly comments like, "Who do you think you are, a filmmaker? Get back in the studio." Like, no, I will film the way I want. I will make my plan. I will set forward, do the things that give me pleasure, and you don't get to have a say in that. Now, if I get enough feedback and it's the same kind of message from a huge percentage of the audience, that's different. But more times than not, trolls and haters, they just hate. The thing to think about is you don't want to let a hater into your mind space. In fact of the matter is this: when it comes to burnout, when it comes to like a creative block, the more you can do to be positive and fill yourself with positive messages and do anything you can to reduce the resistance that you feel, because oftentimes when we're blocked as creatives, we feel a lot of resistance. Everything seems so hard. So when people say, "Oh my God, you've created the same video," I'm like, "Oh my God, you don't even apply the tips and strategies." I don't let them in my mind space, or I at least try to override their messages with positivity. I look at the fact that most of my viewers and subscribers are leaving very positive messages. The more you can do to keep things fresh and new, the more you can try new things, the more you push out the negative messages that may be impacting you, the better. These are the things that have allowed me to move forward and feel great about my work, and also to know I'm growing as a creative, which I think is so important. Now, do this to grow on YouTube, to drive more views, to leverage this platform. Check out one of the videos on the screen now. Do that and you'll get the views, and even better, you're gonna feed a poodle. Now, I've got two poodles, and they're hungry. You dig?